Good afternoon, friends. It is March 13th. That is Friday, March 13th, 2026. Welcome to the While We Still Can podcast. I'm here with Tony today. Hey, Tony.
Hey, everybody.
Lisa is out. She, unfortunately, is probably in the depths of hell more than the United States. She's on call today, so Friday the 13th is never a fun call day. So we will send thoughts and chairs. Remember? uh
Thoughts and players.
yeah, right. Maybe a Xanax or something. Sorry, our thoughts are with you, Lisa. But hopefully it wasn't too bad. But we didn't start a war today yet, so that's good. But there's some shit going on. Tony has a new presenting format here. You want to tell us about that, Tony?
Yeah, I've been working on this a little bit. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm a little older and I'm a different generation than all these young TikTokers. I don't use TikTok. And, I was searching some stuff recently and I saw that with Twitter and a lot of the other social media platforms, the thing that's really picking up is these quick videos that 1 minute videos that you can post on pretty much any platform of information. And we see that a lot on TikTok where people's heads floating in front of the screen. And I decided to do it a little old school since I had all the stuff I needed. And I just set it up in a way that I could do it. The nice thing here is, we can see nobody fucking voted for Jared Kushner. And I can actually move things around. I can zoom in on the plastic surgery. We can zoom in on Slender Man and see that some wrinkles are coming along there. But nice, so we can talk about anything we want. And I can pop something up here and we can discuss it. So watch out for that because I'll be posting a lot of these online real soon with a lot of info, hopefully to fill people in on stuff I talked about and new stuff that we find, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, today is the day of breadcrumbs, okay? And every day it's almost like a overwhelm of little tiny things that pop up, new little details, something that seems like nothing, but then you pull it a little bit more. And Jeffrey Epstein sure had his fucking dick in everything, didn't he? His
Yes,
tiny
he did.
little, his egg-shaped dick.
Yeah, whatever shaped it was. It's all insane, and there's so much sensational stuff in these files. It's really hard to kind of keep a level head when reading what occurred at some of his properties. Now Epstein Ranch is finally being searched. I'm hoping they're able to use forensics to find things. There shouldn't be any doubt about what they find there, and I think I don't hope they find a body. Nobody ever hopes for anything like that. But all signs point to the fact that there's likely bodies on the ranch or outside of the ranch. Given the fact that a a Trump supporter who was he just confirmed for his newest position? Or no, he was just voted into a
Did he
comptroller
win?
position.
Did he
Yeah,
win
he did.
that?
I believe he won that. Uh,
Imagine
and
looking at a picture of Dan Huffines and voting for him.
yeah, I mean, he looks like he eats children. I mean, his
Absolutely.
his grill alone looks like he eats children. So
Like
here we
you
have
have,
this.
well, hold on. You have that much money, fucking fix your lip and teeth. I'm sorry.
Exactly. It's like the first thing I would do if I had
Thank
that
you.
much
Okay.
money.
Okay.
And so here we have, they're finally doing a search at Epstein Ranch. But let's talk about what the fuck happened before. In 2019, apparently there was an investigation from the federal government, and the Trump administration shut it down. Now, why the hell would they shut down an investigation into somewhere that they had clear uh, information that there was likely very, very bad things happening on the ranch? So, and it was just, we turned a blind eye. The Justice Department just turned a blind eye. Now, the investigation that's happening as of today, that just started yesterday or a couple days ago, is actually a state investigation. So, guess who can't fucking touch it? Trump and his cronies.
They're gonna try. They'll
Oh
probably
yeah.
just like drop. That's where Iran is gonna drop a bomb, I'm sure.
Mhm. Well, the idiocy of it all is, here we had that was 2019 that happened, but why didn't any investigation happen long before this? I know. Like,
Well, and as all of this information has really had a light shown on it, literally everything, and I am not even going to say just Donald Trump's administration. We are
hmm
learning
hmm
for probably the past 100 years, it looks like, that our government has literally been I think their job has been to cover up things. And I'm not saying that every single person in any administration that was in government at any point in time knew necessarily, just like we see with all of these different types of groups and cults and, Freemasons. The low level Freemasons have no idea what's going on up top. And so I'm not going to say that everybody knew, but like it seems like the only thing the FBI and CIA have been doing is covering things up instead of investigating. And people are like, well, there was no guilty verdict. And I'm like, bro, you have to investigate. But they
Yeah,
didn't.
I mean, well, and that is the Trump machine MO. I mean, when they
Yes.
when you look at Kavanaugh as a great example. 4,500 tips were sent to the FBI uh, to investigate that needed to be investigated, and they were ordered sent to the White House where they disappeared. So none of those 4,500 tips on Brett Kavanaugh were ever investigated, so then he got confirmed because nobody looked at any of the stuff. And here he is sitting on the Supreme Court, and we know what's happened since. So,
Well, they literally set up a catch and call, or what is that? Catch and kill. Catch
yeah,
and kill.
yeah, catch and kill. Yep, that's an Inquirer thing. That's something they've literally been working with each other across the board, pretty much at all levels, is a catch and kill to make sure no bad story about them got out. You can see it in the Epstein emails. I mean,
Yes.
they talk about it, the catch and kill. They talk about all this stuff and hiding all of this stuff. It's crazy.
Well, and
Um,
again, this isn't the National Enquirer. This is the national government.
so yeah, and let's talk about, Epstein has, now that we're seeing more and more of these emails and people are stumbling across new things. I want to reiterate, 3 million files is a lot, and I continue to find brand new things in there. I just do random searches and I start looking at emails, and it's crazy the stuff that comes up. And one of the things that came up yesterday for me when I was searching the emails. I forget what even the word search was. I think I put in Wendy, Wendi, and voila, I found stuff regarding Wendy Deng Murdoch, who I've written extensively about. She's Ivanka's BFF, and in the picture you can see behind me, she is number 8. Let's see, let me get here. And there's Wendy Deng Murdoch. She was married to Rupert Murdoch, uh, who, as his third wife, she's suspected to have had an affair with Tony Blair, who is one of Murdoch and Wendy's children's grandfather or godfather, and she is also highly suspected of actually dating Vladimir Putin. And although that's unsubstantiated, there's a ton of reporting about that. But the funny thing is when you look at this picture, you can see, sorry, we've got Jared Kushner, heir apparent, heir apparent to Jeffrey Epstein.
Hey, Tony, do you want to explain to people that aren't watching on YouTube what picture you're pulling up?
So I have a picture right here in front of us, which is a picture of a number of people sitting at the U.S. Open in September of 2016. Number 1 is Jared Kushner. Number 2 is Ivanka Trump. Number 3 is Michael Hess. Number 4 is David Geffen. Number 5 is Dasha Zukova. Number 6 is Carly Kloss. 7
Oh,
is, yeah, Carly Kloss.
good old
Number
Carly.
7 is Michael Kives. Number 8 is Wendy Deng. The funny thing is number 9, they say is just a guest, but guess who that guest is? That is Leon Black. Leon Black
Clearly.
is so tied to the Epstein files. And then we have 10 is, who is 10 here? We've got 10, John Hess, and number 11, Princess Beatrice. So the funny thing is this picture alone in September of 2016 shows so much cooperation, collaboration, friendship, partnership, coordination, and collusion that has now been proven. And I don't give a shit what any MAGA or Trumper says. I've proven it myself over and over and over again. But every single one of these people is also directly tied to the Epstein files we now see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And who is number one in that photo?
Number one is Jared Kushner,
And
heir
who is
apparent.
yep, who is running the shit right now?
And as you can see, the picture I just pulled up, I think it's from 3 nights ago. It was Rupert Murdoch's 95th birthday party in New York City. Jared and Ivanka were guests there, along with Wendy Dang, his ex-wife. His current wife is Dasha Zukova's Russian mother, who
Oh
used to
my
be, yeah,
God.
who used to be married to a different Russian billionaire. So, and Wendy actually set them up. And the funny thing that a lot of people don't know is who was number four. Do you know who number four was when it comes to Rupert Murdoch's wife?
I feel like I do, but I can't remember.
It's Jerry Hall,
Jerry Hall.
who was with Mick Jagger for
Yes.
decades.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
and
knew I had seen it. Ew, who is doing this? What?
yes,
Like, I know these people have shitty ass personalities.
and another picture of from a different angle showing Wendy, Jared, and Ivanka here. Right behind Wendy is Princess Beatrice again. One thing I'd like to point out, I do have a picture in here. I'd have to go find it of Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell all in costume, and that happened to be Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. So Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson uh,
Invited
invited
prolific pedophiles.
prolific pedophiles, to their princess daughter's 18th birthday party.
I mean, her dad was a fucking pedophile.
Of course, of course.
So, I mean, that I guarantee that poor girl since birth has been MK Ultra'd and dissociated, and nasty things have been done to that poor girl.
Well, it's probably the epitome of grooming. I mean, the thing is do they even know right and wrong? Do they know what they've been subjected to? When you look at this picture here, fast forward to just recently, this is a picture of Jared Kushner with Witkoff in Russia. So here we have Jared Kushner, who's not even doesn't even work for the government anymore, who's actually doing Donald Trump's job. So there's files that have been released recently, and I've written extensively over the last several days about this. I wrote 4 different threads on Jared Kushner, and uh, it's clear he is an Israeli spy. I am happy for them to come sue me if they want to tell me about it, if they want to come after me. There's indications he worked for Mossad. Him and his brother Josh Kushner, who is married to Carly Kloss now, were were trained by Alan Dershowitz, who's been in the Epstein stuff since the get-go. You've got Bibi Netanyahu, who stayed at the Kushners uh, and slept in Jared's room when he was a child. Now, the question is whether or not Jared still stayed there.
Right,
Jared's
was
very
Jared in
effeminate.
there? Yeah. He shared his twin bed with BB.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, let's talk about Jared's dad. Didn't Donald Trump pardon him?
Yes, Donald Trump pardoned him, but not only did he pardon him, he
Made
made
him
him
an
an
envoy.
he made him an ambassador.
Ambassador. Sorry. What's
He
the
is
difference
an
between an
ambassador.
envoy and an ambassador?
An envoy, I think, has less restrictions. They're not restricted to a certain country, like Paulo Zampoli, who
Okay.
goes everywhere.
Okay.
And I showed a picture this morning. I think it's a new position, kind of, that he has manipulated in a way. He signed an executive. Well, no, I apologize. In Project 2025, in the section about the executive office, uh, I had written about this on my old profile, but unfortunately, I lost the thread when it was nuked. And and my brain just
It's
went away.
okay.
what was
When your account was nuked.
Project 20, it's Project
Yes.
2025, and the executive section of Project 2025 extends excessive powers not only to Trump but to his cabinet and his special envoys. So they are almost as untouchable as Trump. And here you can see Paulo Zampoli running around the world. I just posted something this morning off from his Instagram, which is a picture of him with. Do you remember who it was with? I forget.
Uh
With Sebastian Gorka, who's
yes,
a
and his
Nazi.
wife.
Yes,
Yes.
Sebastian Gorka is a known Nazi. I mean, it's so ridiculous how we've come full circle and all of these Russian hoax people that screamed Russian hoax from the get go, but they were immersed in the middle of all of it. Now they've embraced Russia, and now it's all happening out in the open. I mean, Felix Sater at Mar-a-Lago front and center yesterday, just flaunting it to the world what he's done. I'm still pissed off about a year ago when I saw that picture of
Kamala.
Felix with Kamala, which I talked to him about. We've
Yes.
talked about this before, but my talent is getting these crazy, crazy people to talk to me. And
Yeah.
it happened again the other day. I got Felix Sater to talk to me again, and we went on for a good, 10, 15 minutes back and forth about shit because I was calling him out on his stuff, of course.
Right.
And it's funny because when you look at his profile, and this just gives you an idea of algorithms and really trying to get information out there. I'm suppressed tremendously. Everybody knows that, but I
Mhm.
still get information out there. And over the last several days, I've had over 2 million engagements just based off of all of my Kushner stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, but in the last 18 days, I figured it out. I looked at stuff and I gained 3 followers.
Oh.
So, that they're,
Jared
so
Kush. Oh, sorry.
yeah, and the reach and everything else. Plus, I've been targeted tremendously. So the thing is Jared Kushner is key to all of this. Felix Sater is key to all of this. Artem Kushner is key to all of this. Wendy Deng is key to all of this. And they're all still way out in the open. When we talked about Wendy Deng just a little bit ago, I failed to mention that when Trump first took office in 2017, the entire Intelligence Committee not only didn't allow, or they actually uh, uh, warned against Jared and Ivanka having any access to any type of classified information, and Trump rode them in doing so and gave them access to all that information. And although they didn't have the highest access, I'd bet you $1 million Jared saw everything Trump saw, regardless of access.
Well,
Uh,
he could not even we've seen the cabinet as a whole and all of these people that he's making up jobs for. And when you make up a job for someone, there's no rules for it because it was just fucking made up. So
exactly.
all of the things that we have put into place to keep these positions from getting undue power, it doesn't matter because he's just making up jobs to give them, and then we're paying them with our tax money. And also along with the pedophile island and paying Paulo Zampoli to traffic our children and overthrow our government. And for Jared Kushner, well, and again, we've talked about 100 times that the people that are the face of everything going on, like, yes, they're pieces of shit, but there's someone behind the scenes pulling the strings, and that would be
Mm-hmm.
Jared fucking Kushner, okay?
And
So,
yep. Well, and it's frustrating because we can bang our head against the wall 100 different times, but and say the same things, but we have to point out the truest reality to people. And here we had last year when Trump took office, and we're seeing information about Doge now and how they went about doing what they did to clear out positions, these thousands of jobs and everything else. They are using AI. You see these young the Peter Thiel rent boys that he hired
yes,
to run Doge. They were probably giving a little something else on the side, and
absolutely.
just like Jared. And and none of them were qualified. But the reality is since Trump's been in office, I just read it this morning. Our deficit has increased $2.3 trillion. So what the hell happened to whatever savings were going to happen from any of these things that are happening? All of these firings, everything else. We're in a worse position than ever. We're at war, and America is practically bankrupt. And let's be very clear. You know, we're approaching a third of our entire deficit over the entirety uh, of tracking the U.S. deficit. A third of it is because of Donald Trump.
That's so I mean, what did we expect? Hiring a reality TV show. Like, what did we expect? Hmm.
Well, I have it up on the screen right now, but he's living proof that a con man doesn't have to be smart if his victims are stupid enough.
I know, but I guess, and I've been trying to have conversations. Okay, I haven't been trying to have conversations. I've been having conversations with unwilling participants on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And most of them are men, and
Mm-hmm.
I bring up these situations and I can see them try to stick up for the system. And I can identify with that because I also tried to do that myself in the beginning, because I never had the idea in my head that we could create a new one and that the system was the actual problem, not tweaking the system, because the system is functioning correctly. This is how it was built.
Mm-hmm.
But the comfort of the men that can say, I don't want to tear the system down because I'm okay right now.
Well, and let's be very clear. Who was it? Was it Pam Bondi that said, if we prosecute everybody involved in the Epstein operation, it will tear the system down? Well, you know what? It's time to tear the system down because the
Yeah.
system is flawed. Period. I don't care how comfortable anybody is. I don't care how white you are. The system is flawed and it needs to be torn down. And do not give me your excuse about, well, everything's okay for me now. I'm okay with the policies. My 401k is up, because we know that's all false. We're sitting at, I don't know what it is as of this now, but in the last month, I think it's lost 2,000 points. It was at 46,000 this morning. And you have, who was it? Tulsi Gabbard, or no, Pam Bondi, who said, well, it's over $50,000 or 50,000.
No one cares about child rape.
Yes, no one cares about child rape because the Dow is over $50,000. Well, as soon as the Dow crashes, which we're well on the way to that happening, because it's being propped up insanely beyond what it should be. And when the Dow crashes, that's when all of those white males who are very comfortable right now are finally going to feel something. Because when they
I cannot believe that money is the only thing that is going to get them to give a fuck. I
yeah,
still.
yeah, apparently they're okay with pedophilia.
I know.
Apparently, and yes, we're hearing a lot of them not happy about the war, but I guarantee you they're not going to do anything different than let it continue.
Absolutely not. And they're like, we're killing the brown people. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I don't understand. Okay, give me some updates on the Doge hearings. Do you have any?
Just a little bit. I saw a couple where I'm just changing a few things
No,
behind
you're
here
good.
for the heck of it. I saw where one of the young men was basically talking that he used ChatGPT to determine who needed to be cut from DEI programs. Literally, they were, and this was even in I think one of his executive orders was about DEI. They're going after DEI, but they're using DEI as almost an umbrella of of catch-all type of things. Is, if you don't like a single thing you're doing, we're going to defund you or we're going to fire you because it's not on the side of things that we believe in, which is, everything against treating people well and taking care of people.
It is actually astounding the amount of progress we have negated in the past 10 years.
And let's not forget this, everyone. If people would have fucking paid attention before the election, we all knew what we were getting into. Whatever happened at the election, we've seen recently where Biden, it says that he did order an audit, and the audit did say that Kamala won, but
Yep.
none of that matters right now because the people that have control, the people that, Biden literally handed the keys over to Donald Trump with a smile on his face. So I'm going to say it. It's going to piss people off, but fuck Biden. He had an oath to
Seriously.
us. He had an oath to every single one of us. He did good things while he was in office, but for him to sit there and just hand the keys over to day one dictator, emphasis on dick, uh, it's not okay. Biden failed us. Obama failed us. Yes, we can sit here and go about all the reasons because of the system and nobody wanted to expose this or expose that, but the system's been broken for a long time. If it was up to me, I would release the names of all intelligence assets because they can't. They're not supposed to, but I just do it. Who is an informant? We know Peter Thiel was exposed as an informant. But I think that part of him having been, kind of, I
Your
call it
audio's kind of
grand.
weird, Tony. You sound underwater. Sorry.
I think it's, now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I think it pulled up under my shirt. Um, and when we talk about all the things that are going on and what we could have prevented. It's insane that we are at this point right now uh, because we relied too much on the system and we relied too much on common courtesy of the system. Because a lot of
Yes.
the things that Trump has done, he has just gotten rid of the things that we just accepted, like just natural courtesy of things.
Well, we assumed that the checks and balances would always be there because in the
Yes.
past, people, from what we can see, the normal people could see that there was a semblance of checks and balances. But when you find out that your own government knew about prolific pedophiles and probably had something to do with it, the system is not worth saving. So, I don't know how to drill that into people's heads, and yeah, people are really showing their asses right now.
Well,
Um,
and go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go.
Well, I said from the beginning, as soon as Trump took office in 2017, his very first full day in office, he visited the CIA headquarters. It was like a mob boss going to the CIA headquarters saying, look, I'm in control now. And I also believe he probably took a bunch of files that related to him and his status as an informant to protect himself. I think, they're doing so many different things to protect Trump. The Epstein files are one thing, but the Trump files are probably much more than even just the Epstein files alone.
Right, right. We think 6 million files are bad. Um, okay, so before I forget, I do want to talk about these data centers. We were talking about stocks, and these
Hmm.
data centers, I was reading an article, and I'm sorry I'm squirreling, but I was reading an article about, because I don't understand, like, I understand the idea of a server farm or whatever, and having servers, and they're these big warehouses, and they need a lot of power because they're powering data, right? Is that
Hmm.
okay?
Well, and they're I have
What?
it up on the screen now. I
Okay.
typed in data centers and what it does. And I've never fully understood, like they talk about mining data,
Bitcoin.
but mining Bitcoin
Or
and stuff
yes.
too. And I just read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true because Facebook is all over the place, but that they were converting, that line that they were making in Saudi Arabia
Uh-huh.
that was supposed to be 150 miles, but they've actually pulled the scale back tremendously. They've only built like a couple miles of it or something. I've heard that they're converting that to a data center.
Well, I was listening to I can't remember what I was reading it on, but he was explaining that when Iran was bombing places last week, in
Hmm.
retaliation, they
Excuse me.
did bomb a bunch of data centers
Oh, really?
over in uh Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and stuff. And
Hmm.
the reason why they would bomb the data center is because that is where the military is operating from, like
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
drones and their uh data equipment and stuff. And I was like, okay, that makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah, it's insane the things that we aren't really fully aware of as to why some of the things that are happening in terms of the strategic military moves of Iran. I think Trump was asked yesterday about, will this last 4 weeks, and he ignored the question. I think we're in a very long term thing. And, they're trying to backpedal a little bit. He tried to blame Jared. Don't quite understand, what's going on there because, Jared's running the show for the most part. So it's all very interesting. But uh, the 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 uh, the the insanity of all of this is just it my brain is about to explode. I'm sorry.
No, no, it is. It is. And then so we're paying for these data centers, and then we're going to pay for the upcharge of the energy because we know when there is a scarcity of something, which the data centers will cause because of the sheer amount of water and energy they take,
Hmm.
um, we know that our rates will go up because of that. Because there will
Yes.
be less power. And so they're like, oh, there's not enough to go around because this fucking data center that could be running military shit that I don't want anything to do with. And then the problem with the data centers controlling military things is that it makes that um a site that the adversary wants to bomb. So that is
Well,
making public property, which that's what these data centers are, in residential areas, targets for our adversaries. So that is making
yeah.
you unsafe, that is making me unsafe. That like I that is just, and we see that they just bombed data centers across the ocean. And
Hmm.
that means I mean there are several data centers near me.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and speaking of the bombing and AI, I did read something about the school that the girls uh, went to where that had gotten bombed and 175 Iranian children were killed. Uh, a tragedy. I mean, that should never
I'm
happen.
so sorry, guys.
It's a,
I am
it's a,
sorry.
it's a crime against humanity. They should be held accountable completely for this. But apparently, what I did see was something that where that school is in the past used to be a military compound, and it was kind of reinvented for whatever reason. But AI data had shown that it was still a military facility, which is why it was part of the bombing campaign that occurred.
Do you think
So,
that Iran did that on purpose?
in terms of Iran did it or we did it, what do you mean?
Well, no, I mean, like, because I have heard of, these types of regimes or whatever,
Hmm.
hiding the leaders hiding in hospitals or schools because those are no bomb zones. You know what I'm saying? Or do you think
Oh,
this was just a
absolutely.
total mix up?
I think this was likely a mix-up, but you're absolutely right. I mean, they do go hide. We know that they hide in hospitals. That we saw that in Ukraine and a number of other places
Yeah,
where they would hide
Hamas
in
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hamas doing that, and we saw it in Gaza, uh, which is a
Still
whole
terrible,
different,
God.
yeah, still a whole terrible thing. The one thing, and one thing, and we're not, and I was talking about this at home yesterday. We're not allowed to talk about. We've been conditioned. We've been groomed to not talk against Israel. Growing up, we just
Yes.
never were allowed to say anything about. I mean, we've been conditioned that if you criticize Israel, you're automatically anti-Semitic. How dare you
Right.
criticize? And the world we live in right now, we need to acknowledge that the Israeli government and Netanyahu and what's going on with what and with the powers that be and how they're controlling the United States and how they're controlling Jared Kushner and all of this other stuff. This is far beyond uh, anti-Semitism or anything like that. We are not. None of this is anti-Semitic. This is good versus bad, and Netanyahu and his regime needs to be gone. Period.
Well, they're extremists. They're extremists.
Yes.
And that's what's crazy is I do not, even though I know Israel was created as a place for the Jewish people after the Holocaust, but I don't necessarily
I mean,
like link Jewish religion to Israel necessarily. Like I know that that is where a lot of them live because of history,
yeah.
but I don't I don't I don't associate Bibi Netanyahu with the Jewish faith at all.
Well, let me throw something out there, and again, and I'm not trying to be racist, bigoted, anything like that. But I was talking at home about this yesterday, and I was trying to figure out the best words to put this in. And I think Judaism, the state of Israel, has been absconded by Russian Jews. I
Hijacked.
think hijacked by
Yep.
Russian Jews. When you look at the steel dossier, when you look at things that Netanyahu, I'm sorry, that Putin has been focused on for the last 20 years, it's been Russian Jews. When you look at the people that they went after to help them create this situation that we're in, it's Russian Jews. I mean, they continue. And what is Jared Kushner? Jared Kushner is a Russian Jew. His family's name is Robinsky or something from Poland. I forget. Just like Netanyahu's family name, his original name is a Polish name, and they changed their name to a Jewish name and hijacked uh, Israel. I mean, seems to be more of a reality that people don't want to talk about. Is these bad
Well,
actors?
they get so mad about the Russia, Russia, Russia. I'm like, no, but that's what it is, bro.
Yes.
And that Russia Jew little tidbit there just reminded me of Craig Unger's work and
Hmm.
how he covers extensively after World War II when we let a bunch of refugees from Europe and Russia area move over here. And that is where a lot of our Russian spies came from. The Russian government told the Jewish population in Russia, they were like, okay, we're going to let you immigrate over there, but you have to be a spy for us. And that is where a lot of that shit came from. And then you go to the 1980s when Donald Trump built Trump Tower and was trying to be a cheap ass and went to that Russian electronics store to buy cheap phones for his hotel. And he or not a Trump Tower, Trump Hotel, I'm sorry. And he was trying to buy cheap electronics and they were all these bugged Russian electronics. And he went in there and the person who owned that electronics store was a Russian spy and noted him down and was like, "Oh, this guy's got money and he is dumb and he has a big
Well,
ego."
yeah. But, I mean, that's what they all realize, that Trump was such a good target. They could easily go after him. And because of the money connections he never really had money himself, but he
Right.
had access to lots of money. And I brought up Craig Unger since you mentioned him.
Good
Um,
old Craig.
yeah, you've had him on the show two or
I
three
have. I have. I've had him only on one time. I need to email him too. He's probably going crazy right now. Like, I tried to tell these motherfuckers and nobody
times.
listens.
He's probably going crazy. He's like, Tina never calls me, never talks to me, nothing.
Oh, Craig. Oh, Craig. you know what? I'm going to send him an email later.
So, you know, another thing that is known through Putin's operations is he uses Russian emissaries, emigres from in different former Soviet bloc and non-Soviet bloc countries to also spy for him. It details that in the Steele dossier as
Mhm.
to how they do that, and they use Russian emigres that are working for different corporations in different countries, and they've had more success in infiltrating uh, different companies and big businesses than they had governments, but they were using all of these people that may have worked for, you know, uh, electronic, or I'm sorry, a power company in Lithuania to get them uh, to do their bidding, and share,
Right.
information with them. So, uh,
Well,
sorry,
just
I'm having
like
technical difficulties.
oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, it seems like we just keep seeing some repeating players and and it seems like these big names such as Jeffrey Epstein, Jared Kushner, they literally have a toe in everything. So I Oh, 9/11 is another let's end
Oh
the
yeah.
show today. Let's end the show today talking about hopefully not the false flag in
Yeah.
California that they're talking about.
So yes, they're talking about drones having been stolen. They're talking about Iran attacking California as retaliation to the bombing of their nation, and they're literally setting it up for something to happen. You know, we all know well enough that this administration can't be trusted. I mean, look at the quote unquote assassination attempt with the Miracle Ear, and if I will say there's more of a chance that if something does happen, anywhere in the United States, but especially in California, the first place I would look at is the United States government.
Well, okay, so I found an article about the drone theft, okay? So, uh 101st Airborne Division Air Assault Drone Theft Update, and this is from the USArmy.com. I don't know, can we trust that anymore? Probably not, but whatever. Okay, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. We can confirm that a Department of the Army Criminal Investigative Division investigation began in late November 2025 into the theft of 4 small quadcopter drones from a government building on Fort Campbell. Okay, I have never been on a government base or like a military base. Tony, you
Mhm.
have. Is there any way that random fucking people could get in there and steal 4 drones?
It'd be really difficult. That's the easiest way to put it. I mean, I'm sorry, you have to have access to the base for one, which is not that hard to get access to a base one way or the other. Whether you're guests for somebody or you have military credentials or physical reason to being there. It's another thing to gain access to a building that has, you know, drones and stuff. So
Yeah, like they don't think they were sitting in a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago like them fucking
exactly.
files. So like I feel like they would probably be like locked up, don't they? I
Yeah.
mean, how do those things even fly? Don't you have to have special
You would think you'd have to have some sort of special access to be able to even operate.
Right.
You'd
Okay.
think that there's.
Right. So that's suspect, right? Okay.
Mhm,
So we got these drones. And then they're doing some predictive programming for us here by
mhm,
saying, oh, we got some data that Iran is going to drone attack California.
mhm, mhm.
And then I think you should talk about that other weird detail of where they're
Where it
predicting.
might be, yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you confirm it?
Oh, no, I
Befo-
forgot. That was like my
Okay.
only thing.
So I'll talk about the backstory. So, when
Okay.
on 9/11, one thing we will actually talk about in the future when we have more information. I think, there's going to be revelations about 9/11 when the rest of the house, or at least that are going to be very shocking for people, because we're seeing a lot of ties to Epstein, to ISIS, to Al Qaeda, showing that the United States actually had some finance connections to those terrorist groups, just like Russia had financial connections to those terrorist groups. Um, but on 9/11, you know, uh, Larry Silverstein uh, had just bought the Twin Towers, as most people know. He'd bought them a few months earlier. He'd gotten he had gotten new insurance on it, which actually covered a terrorist attack. And then when 9/11 happened, just so happened conveniently for him a few months later, he was able to cash in twice because he sued and said that it was $2 tax. So he got $4.7 million for the tax on these buildings that he had just insured. We also know that a number of people that were supposed to be at Twin Towers, and this is credible and verifiable sourced information, uh, did not show up that morning conveniently or very luckily. One of those people was Sarah Ferguson, who was supposed to be there. A couple of others, other people were Evie Letnick and Howard Letnick were supposed to be there, and they happened to have something that stopped them from coming there. And even was it Letnick that was known to
He
have, or Silverstein was known to have breakfast every day at the Twin Towers. One of them
I
was
think
known.
it was Larry. I don't think it was
Letnick.
Lutnick. I just know that he was dropping his kid off at school that day randomly, but he had never done that ever in the history of him. Okay, so I found the Larry Silverstein link. Okay, so Larry Silverstein, who said on PBS that he ordered a pull it demolition. Okay, hold on, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, news reports of possible Iranian drone terror attacks in California and Boeing E-6B Mercury. The Doomsday plane was just seen flying low over California. Massive Independence Day false flag alien. Oh, God, I'm going to
Yeah.
erase that. That wasn't what I wanted. Uh,
Yeah.
shit.
We're talking about that U.S. Bank building.
Yeah. Ah,
So the
shit.
speculation here is we're trying to confirm it is that Larry Silverstein just bought the U.S. Bank building in Los Angeles, California. If you recall, that is the current tallest building in the middle of downtown LA. It's the building that in Independence Day the spaceship was centered over, and that crowd of people was at the top of it waiting for them to welcome them in, and instead they got obliterated. So that very well famous and very well known building we're trying to confirm was recently bought by the same guy that bought the Twin Towers just before a terrorist attack on them.
Right.
So that's basically what we're trying to confirm.
So when we when we talk about this false flag and people are like, oh, you're fucking crazy. Um, let's discuss some reasons why a false flag would be beneficial for this administration.
Well, first, it would allow Trump to likely move towards what he's actually
Your audio's
thinking
weird.
about. Right?
Start over. Okay,
Sorry, can
say
you
that
hear me?
again. No, you're fine.
First, it's let's start. It gives Trump the opportunity to elevate the war in Iran by putting ground troops. And I've seen that they're preparing as many as 100,000 ground troops to be dropped into Iran, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst decisions that can be made in history, and will likely result in several thousand uh, deaths of our sons, daughters, and grandchildren that are fighting for
For
what
what?
we
I don't
believe
even know.
for what we believe in. They signed up to fight for what we as Americans believe in, but they're fighting a war against the Epstein files, basically, because
Literally.
that's what this war is. It's a distraction from the Epstein files. Trump has already admitted that he was given intel that wasn't quite what he expected, that Iran was going to attack us, and that's why he attacked. He's already trying to backpedal and do what he does. But as soon as more Epstein files drop, they'll try to elevate things in a way, and I think that's where we're at with this possible false flag. It'll also possibly allow him, depending on how the United States responds to a false flag, to declare to declare martial law, and that has always been a huge, huge part of what he's wanted to do for a very long time. Is take control of the country using force, military force. We've seen them trying to do it with ICE. They're still, it's way too quiet right now. We're not paying attention to Minneapolis anymore, but it's way
Right.
too quiet on the ICE front. because we're looking at too many other squirrels right now. Uh,
Squirrel!
but yeah, but they're still moving forward with those 80 warehouses and everything else going on. So do not look away. We have to learn how to multitask. I get people coming after me all the time about different stuff, and they're like, "Well, that's old news." No, I'm sharing relevant information with you that actually is relevant to today's information, and I actually show you how so. But or they'll say something like, "Well, aren't you shouldn't you be focused on this other stuff?" And I'm like, there's such a thing as multitasking, and we absolutely have to pay attention to everything that's going on around us and learn
Right.
how to prioritize how important some of this stuff is. Uh,
Well, and because there's the flashy stuff, and then there's the like meat and potatoes in there of who's really pulling the strings again. But also, what do you think about a false flag? Remember how after 9/11 we enacted essentially gave away a bunch of our rights to be
yeah,
able
the
to
Patriot
be
Act. Yep.
Patriot Act. And so
Patriot Act. Yep.
yes, and so that's when we started having to do the TSA stuff and basically surveillance, mass surveillance. And we
Mhm.
know that Palantir obviously and all of these different agencies that the government is now partnered with to do domestic security. Who am I fucking scared of? You guys.
Well,
Fuck.
well, exactly. Well,
Like Jesus Christ.
we have Palantir who's, definitely deep in or definitely now and very well involved in a lot of different things. A lot of people forget that Grok, actually had been, Elon's Grok had been contracted for something to do with the government too. And just within the last week, he's actually turned Grok off for non-paying members. So now all of those blue checks are the ones that are feeding Grok information essentially by asking questions and whatever. If you remember way back when, I think it was in December, Art Inclusion, everything he was writing, he was tagging Grok in. And I always believed he was influencing Grok in some way. So now we have
Right.
no access to Grok. And now they're influencing Grok as an AI. We know that AI is unreliable as it is, and now it's being fed primarily from the right side of things, the right wing side of things, the far right side of things. But the other thing a lot of people don't realize is Carbine, and I've written about Carbine briefly, is a 911 operating AI operating system that 23 states use in the United States right now, and that was initially funded by Peter Thiel, but it is owned by an Israeli company.
Just like Amber Alert.
Yep. So check and see if your state uses Carvine for managing through AI the 911 calls, 911 calls.
Nine
So
eleven. Oh God.
yeah, yeah. So all these things, are happening behind the scenes right now, and as it coalesces, and I've shared it. We can look at what the backup plan is. Trump isn't long for this earth. Physically, his health isn't there. Um, it's just reality. He's almost 80 years old. He's just not long for this earth. And but Vance is going to be 100 times worse because Vance is 100% controlled by Peter.
Vance has also been real quiet.
Yep,
He's probably
they're
at
just
home
waiting.
beating his wife, fucking a couch.
Yeah.
His pregnant wife. Oh my God, she had to
Yes.
have sex with him. I wonder if she just
Uh,
sat on the couch after him.
yeah, she just dressed at the couch and laid down.
Ugh, ugh. She just sat on the couch with no underwear after he was done.
Oh dear Lord.
That's how she the wet spot. I don't want to have sex with my husband, so I'm just gonna sit on the couch.
Oh dear Lord. On that
I'm
note,
sorry. I'm well, guys. Hope your Friday the 13th is great. On that note, sorry if you have nightmares. Hopefully, we don't have a false flag. Yeah. So do with that information what you will. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. I love your new format here. We are definitely going to be doing some collabing with this. Maybe get some little small clips out that is a little
mhm,
easier to take in on a shorter, like a nice toilet poop. You can just scroll through while you're doing that.
Well,
Um,
that's the attention span of Americans nowadays is pretty much a minute. So,
including
we
me,
might,
including
yeah, we,
me.
and me too. I do not listen to these podcasts after we do them because I don't have the attention span to sit and listen to something for an hour.
Hey, could someone tell my husband that a minute is all my attention span is? So if he could hurry up. No, I'm
Hey,
just kidding.
I don't. Yeah, I just say I don't know if you. I think you wanted to be a little more than that.
Okay, 3 minutes. I got shit to do. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a wonderful Friday. And Tony, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
It's always my pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye.